Hi YouTube family, how are you today? I'm doing pretty good. Welcome back to my channel. This is it. And as you can see by the title, we're going to talk a little bit about what it feels like to have a child in prison, juvenile, or just kind of tied up with the law in a bad way. So let's get to it. The first question that was asked to me was, how long has he been in trouble with the law? I can say off and on, including juvenile, it's been about 8 or 9 years. He started when he was like 14, getting in trouble and going to juvenile. I think, if I'm not mistaken, his first offense was something like stealing from like JC Penney's or something like that. I think that they had him in the office like kind of place at JC Penney's. I went up there. I had to sign some papers and I was able to pick him up, and then we did have to go to court about what he had did. So that was hard. It was very embarrassing, and it wasn't like we didn't have the money to buy these things or to get these things. It was more of, I think he felt I was the type of parent that I didn't buy those things unless you did what you were supposed to do to get them, to deserve them, you know. So that meant going to school every day. That meant having good grades. That meant doing your chores at home. That meant like all of those things like that. I'm not going to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on True Religion, and I'm not going to go out and spend $40-50 on a pair of jeans, Levi jeans or whatever, and or $150 on a pair of Jordans if you're not going to bring me some grades that deserve those Jordans, or you're not going to behave in school and not get in trouble or get kicked out, you know. So that was the type of parent I was. Like, I'm not going to do it. So I guess he felt him and his friends can just would go out and steal stuff from JC Penney's, and he got caught. Court had made him, I think he had to do community service. I had to pay fines and some fees. I had to pay stuff to JC Penney's for the stuff that he stole, even though they recovered it all. And after that, he was put on probation. He violated probation and he ended up in juvenile. After that, he got back home. He ended up like climbing out the window and going on a run. Like, he was on a run for months. Then he finally got caught, went back to juvenile. So it was like those type of cycles that kept happening over and over and over and over again. So it was sad. It was very like hurting, like going to court and trying to, I mean, and the judge was like basically, and people basically looked at it like, it's your fault. It's the way you raised your child. It's the way this, and I'm like, hold up, like, I have other children who are not following in his footsteps. So how is it the way I raised, you know, my child, you know? That was really like really weighed a lot on me and was really heavy. I took all the classes that they required me to take for supporting him. He smoked weed, so they put him in like a AANA type of program. I attended those meetings with him. We did all types of classes. And also, I was, at that time, I was working full-time and I was a full-time student, going at first for criminal justice, and then I kind of changed my mind and I decided to do social work. So I was going to school full-time. I was working full-time and trying to be a full-time wife and a parent. And I was going to all of these classes that they required, the court system required me to go to. But me and other parents are just like, breaking down like we this is like ridiculous. Like we need some type of help with these kids. This is ridiculous. We're doing all that the law is requiring us to do. And I can say when I was a kid growing up with my mom and I got in trouble, I did go to juvenile once. I went to juvenile for fighting. I was a big fighter. I had beat a girl up like pretty bad, beat her up like really bad, and left and went home. I knew I was about to get in trouble. I knew I was about to go to jail. So I went home and I ate because I'm like, this might be the last good meal that I'll have for a long time. So I went home and I ate. And I remember I ate some corn, some fried chicken, and some mashed potatoes and some homemade biscuits that my mom had made. So I ate, and like surely like maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, after I got finished eating, there was a knock on the door. My mom went to the door and it was the police. And they arrested me and they took me to jail. I remember going to the precinct. And then they kept me at the precinct for so long. I was in the precinct for like a long time. And then eventually they took me to juvenile. But for whatever reason, God was on my side. Juvenile they didn't have my information correct. They didn't have my paperwork correct. So they had to let me go because they had been holding me for so long at the actual precinct. So they had to let me go. So I end up seeing a judge. The judge put me on a probation. And when I got home, I got my butt whooped. After that, that was it. I was not about to go back to juvenile. I mean, it was bad to go to juvenile. It was bad to go to jail, but to get your butt whooped at the age of 16 was worse, and everybody knew I got my butt whooped. So I didn't do it anymore. You know what I'm saying? That was it. I did get into fights, but more of the fights were self-defense type of things. It was no more taking it to the extent that I did that time. Like I took it too far. I took it like way past what it should have been. So after that changed. There was no taking it to that extent no more. It was not, it was bad enough that I went to jail, at least I thought. And then I come home and get my butt whooped by my mama and get yelled and screamed at by my brother. Like I was like, that's done and over with. You won't catch me doing that no more. I won't be doing that no more. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't stand a butt whooping. So now these days it's like you can't spank your kids, so I try to talk to him, try to understand, try to feel where he's coming from. Like none of that stuff. I don't know. It just wasn't what he wanted to do. He did not want to get out of the mode of doing the things that he was doing or hanging with the people that he were hanging with. Because before 14, we stayed in a very like a country type area. So, it's embarrassing to have a child in prison, and it's even more embarrassing to be a social worker and to be out here helping other people's kids or other people's children, and you couldn't help your own. But then I kind of think about I've done everything that I know necessary to do, everything that I could have thought of that would assist or help him to become, I'm not saying he's not a good person, but to become better and successful in life. I felt like I gave him those tools to do, and it was basically it went to the point to kind of leave it up to him to take those tools and put them to use you know what I'm saying, to be a successful person in life. And he didn't, you know. He took those tools and he put them to use, but put them to use in a negative way, like to try to become a better criminal kind of situation, you know. So that was like not what I was expecting. He got out on parole. He ended up getting a violation of probation because he had police contact. Not because he did anything wrong, but because he had police contact. Because him and the girl got into it and she called the police. So after that, he got paroled out again. This time I let him parole to my house. The first time he didn't parole to my house, he paroled to the county, and they put him up in like a motel, which was disgusting. They had bed bugs. It was just, I felt so bad. But I also tried to be strong and try to have that mind frame of, this is the bed you made, so you have to lie in it. Like, this is what you decided, the route you decided you want to go through. This is the path you decided you wanted to take. So this is where you need to do what you need to do to get out the situation. So second time, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let him go back to the motel. Maybe this time I'll let him parole to my house, and then it'll give him a better chance because I'm a social worker. I have connection. I can help him out, you know, better. So he paroled to my house, got a job, was doing pretty good. For whatever reason, him and the parole officer had bad communication. He thought he was supposed to go on one day, which actually they said he was supposed to go like a few days before. So he missed, it ended up being a violation of probation. He missed that appointment. He thought the parole officer said one day, when I guess the parole officer said a different day, which was 2 days, like 2 or 3 days before what he thought. And he went in he was going to go in to see the parole officer, but I think the parole officer had already called him and told him that he missed his appointment and that he needed to come and turn himself in. So he was like, he not turning himself in. And I'm just like, what? Like, what's really going on? So he decided, oh, I'm going to just run. I'm not going to turn myself in. So he ran again. And this time he ended up getting caught again. He ran for probably about almost a year. Almost a whole year this time, and he got caught, and now he's back in there again. He had a parole hearing in July. He got arrested in January. He went back to prison in January. He had a parole hearing in July. They granted him parole, but he had a deferral because it was a class that he needed to finish. Basically teaching him how to handle his anger and how to, you know, to be able to control that part. After that, he'll probably be paroled out. And I'm just praying like that when he gets out, he's going to stay out. And I'm praying that he's going to stay out and not end up in a grave or not end up badly hurt. So this is deep. It's real deep. It's, as I said, it's embarrassing. It hurts. And even with the clients that I have, or the clients that I had when I worked with troubled teens, I can give you the tool, but I can't force you to use them. I can't force you to use the tools to make your life successful. I can give you those tools. I can show. It's just like taking a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that with a child. I've showed you, you know, wrong from right. You know what you should and you should not be doing. And you know that I care and that your family care and love you, but you choose to do what you want to do. You choose to continue living a life the way you feel like you want to live it. And I mean, at that point, there's nothing that I can do about it. You know, I pray and ask God to show him, give him some guidance and show him the right way to go. and I put it in the Lord's hand. That's all I can do. And that's exactly what I explained to the lady when she told me, when she asked me that question. She's like, so how does it feel, to have a child in prison, being a social worker, knowing that you're out here helping other people, children who pretty much were or heading towards the same position your child is in. I've given him tools just like I've given them tools. Some of the clients that I have chose to do better with their lives and to do better things and to take those tools and be successful with those tools. Some of them chose not to. He's my son. I love him to death, but he was one of the people that chose not to take those tools and be successful. Want to be successful. So I'm praying and I'm hoping that when he gets out this time, he's done with prison. He's done with the life of crime. He's done with fighting. I'm praying. And I ask y'all to pray too. You got any more ideas for any more videos? Drop it down in the comment section. I got you. And I'll see y'all later. This is it.